Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody of varying genders watching at home. Welcome to the 2018 British Championships of Roller Derby here in Stoke. You join us this afternoon for a couple of finals games, isn't that correct?
That is correct. Today, in this current game, we're going to be looking at the Men's Roller Derby Association Tier 3 final, which is going to see Bristol taking on North Wales Men's Roller Derby. Some exciting stuff indeed.
Absolutely. So just to give you a bit of a background here, these two teams were in the same division throughout the British Championships tournament earlier this year. They have already played. So this game for the final, first and second place, of course, this is a rematch. So it's going to be really exciting stuff. I believe my co-announcer here, I'm with you. I'm Snoogans, aka Roxy Stewart, and my co-announcer here, Robert Quadriguez, aka We Don't Refer to Your Real Name.
No, I haven't got one legally.
No. So I believe you've got some statistics for us, Bobby, about the historical information of these teams.
Indeed. Like we say, these two teams were both in the North Division of Tier 3 for the Men's Roller Derby Association. They have previously played, and Bristol won all of the games in their bracket. When they previously played against North Wales Men's Roller Derby, they won by 210 points to 144 points.
Reasonable margin.
For the viewers that are out there that are watching Roller Derby for the first time, let's talk a little bit about the game of Roller Derby and how these points matter.
Absolutely. So you'll see it as we get into things. You'll see that each team has 5 skaters on track. 4 of those skaters from each team are designated as what we call blockers. And the remaining skater for each team is what we call the jammer. They'll be designated with a star helmet cover, and they are the point scorers. The aim, the very broad and vague overall arch of the game is to help your jammer get through the pack, which is all of the blockers, and to stop the opposing jammer. It's by getting through the pack and passing the opposing blockers, that's how you score points.
Exactly, and obviously it's a game of 2 halves, 2 30-minute halves, and what I love most about this sport is the fact that it is offensive play and defensive play right at the very same time. So it is full contact, and so we are 2.5 minutes away from this game beginning. So what we are going to do now is go through our rosters for the two teams.
Absolutely. So skating in the white with blue accents today, we have Bristol Roller Derby Co-Ed All-Stars. We have 045 Abnorman, 100 is Insane Bolt, 14 is Lex Lethal, 161 is Hard and Sharp, 1986 is Firefly, number 2 is The Soul Taker, 337 is Elderly, 4 is Divine Wrath, 50 is Grey, 57 is Nuclear Blast, number 8 is Gobsmack, 85 is Raven Lunatic, and 999 is Blackthorn.
Wonderful. And skating today in green is North Wales Roller Derby, and we've got skater number 0151 BVG, skater number 02 Bad Twin, skater number 106 Lily, skater number 14 Earth Squirm Jim, skater number 182 Tom Thump, skater number 19 Spike Killigan, skater number 23 Ryan, skater number 3 Bankai, skater number 322 Scritical, skater number 47 Liam Needsome, skater number 65 Frickin' Gnarly, skater number 766 J-Rex, skater number 95 McLeod, skater number 96 Mushy Wookie, and skater number 97 Hyperlink. That is North Wales Roller Derby.
So obviously, for a lot of these people skating, that's not their real name.
No.
Roller Derby has kind of got a subculture. It's a space to kind of have an alter ego, so to speak. For example, me, Snoogans, Roxy, it's just a little bit of fun. Some people do choose to skate under their legal name, particularly if they get to a national level. So earlier this year we had both the Men's Roller Derby World Cup held in Barcelona in April, and the Women's Roller Derby World Cup held in Manchester in February. So a lot of people who are able to make the national status for their teams will choose to skate under their legal name. So we're not too far away from the start of the game now. And as you can see, as I explained before, we've got 4 of each blocker on the track, and then slightly behind what we call the jammer line, is our jammers. We've got them up there. They are preparing in front of us we have a jam timer dressed in the black. They are one of our non-skating officials, and they control the period clock.
Okay, so the action has started. What we can see is that the North Wales jammer has been knocked to the inside of the track. He's currently having to skate to the back of the pack to safely re-enter without causing a penalty, which would take him off track for 30 seconds.
He has managed to recover. He is through, and he is what we refer to as lead jammer. That's Earthsquirm Jim. Brilliant name, by the way. And so he is through. He's now up to the pack and he's scoring points. He may make the tactical decision, as he has just done, to end the jam. When you are lead jammer, you have the ability to end the jam at any point you wish by tapping your hips. So it can be a tactical choice, like it was there, by stopping the jam as it was, instead of letting it run for the full duration of 2 minutes. Earthsquirm Jim was able to prevent Nuclear Blast, the jammer from Bristol, from picking up any points. So Wales have ended that first jam on 1-0.
And in this game, every single point counts. So you gain a point by passing the hips of an opposition player. Currently, we've got our next jam in going ahead. We've got, for North Wales men's roller derby, skating number 02, Bad Twin, is their jammer. He's just currently been taken off of track and recycled back onto the track, and he's through and has picked up lead jammer. Currently got 2 sets of hips to get around in order to get out of the front of the pack.
Yeah, so he has legally picked up lead jammer. However, he was knocked to the infield, and as we've said, you have to legally pass all of the players, and by legally we mean upright and inbound within the confines of the track. If you don't, you will incur a penalty, a cut penalty, at which point you will serve 30 seconds. There are numerous penalties that can be accrued for various different things. We'll explain that to you as we go along, if and when they appear. But yeah, that's a biggie, especially for jammers, isn't it? Cutting penalties.
Definitely. If you're not on the track able to score points, it just gives the opposition every opportunity to take away that lead and take the whole game.
Okay, so this next jam is getting underway. We have Abnorman jamming for Bristol in the white, and that's Lily jamming in the green for North Wales.
Lily being recycled to the back of the pack. Meanwhile, Abnorman out to the front there, picking up lead jammer, now coming round on a scoring pass.
One of the blockers for Bristol being assessed what we call a multiplayer block. So while you can stand very closely with one of your teammates to block an opposing player, you can't have linked arms or grasping any part of them. You do have to release that kind of contact when it's contested.
Yeah, there are a lot of rules for roller derby. I believe the rule book is like 85 pages. And as you can see on track, we currently have 7 officials just to follow not only the inside of the track, but the outside of the track to assess for different types of penalties.
Absolutely. Abnorman, right in the thick of the pack, making the choice to end the jam. We'll see how the that jam represents in the points. Looks like it was 4 points apiece to each jammer, so North Wales still in the lead with 9. Bristol first 4 points on the board. Oh, my mistake, points being added. I spoke too soon.
Not a problem at all.
So just 1 point separating the teams now, 9 to North Wales, 8 to Bristol.
Now, Bristol are going to be starting with the blocker advantage, with North Wales having 2 blockers in the penalty box.
Bristol are now back up to a full complement of blockers. Nuclear Blast, 1 blocker left to pass up the front, number 3 Bankai, which he did, so he's now got that advantage. He is your lead jammer, and while Earthsquirm Jim is still trying to complete his initial pass, he still counts as a point when he has passed.
Now, Earthsquirm Jim has taken off the helmet cover, what we call a stash, which allows them to try and mask the fact that they're a jammer to try and get out of the pack. Once they've put the helmet cover back on, they are eligible to score points, but whilst it's in their hand, they can't score points. So far in these early jams, we've seen quite strong walls. If anything, you can see currently with the Bristol in white, they're forming what's sort of known as a brace. If anything, they've got their arms together to try and make a strong 2-wall to capture the North Wales jammer, but no, they're not linked together to make it an impenetrable wall.
So incredibly quick access to lead jammer there for Hyperlink for North Wales, coming around the inside of turn 1, and he's already up on a scoring pass. Meanwhile, we're still looking for the initial pass, and of course, as I say that she's still looking for the initial pass, Gobsmack is through. Hyperlink once again in control of the jam. He picks up his 4-point pass, passing all 4 of the blockers, and calls it off.
It's lovely to see there's quite a lot of sportspersonship between these two teams. They've played each other, like I say, earlier in the season, and they're quite sort of, they're not a million miles away from each other.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, having been in the same division, they will have seen each other at various game days throughout the season. And when you end up being in a division with a particular team, you see them a lot throughout the year, and you build up that camaraderie, don't you?
Indeed. Okay, so we've got Ab Norman currently jamming for Bristol.
Beautiful takeoff on the outside there by 182 Tom Thump. Ab Norman finally managing to break through, picks up lead jammer once again. Meanwhile, Lily still... Oh, that was some wonderful footwork, Quaddy.
Definitely. A way that he marched down the outside line there, able to get through the pack, and now coming round for a scoring pass. Amazing work. But Ab Norman, he's just so quick, especially with that little pirouette move right there. Got the points, called off the jam, and we're on to that next jam coming up.
Ab Norman incredibly agile, and of course earlier this year, as we mentioned at the Men's Roller Derby World Cup, Ab Norman was a top level jammer for the All Ireland Men's Roller Derby team.
Oh yeah.
Represented his country.
Okay, so the points as they currently stand, we've got North Wales Roller Derby on 13 points, Bristol Roller Derby on 18 points. We've got 23 minutes left in this first half. As we said earlier, we get 2 30-minute halves for their game.
And Nuclear Blast taking some big contact coming into the pack. However, he does manage to pick up lead jammer. Earthsquirm Jim not far behind and is giving chase. And even if you're not in that prime position of lead jammer, if you're able to, just like this, brilliant, if you're able to chase down the lead jammer in a quick fashion, you can force them to call off the jam because they don't want to give up any points. Nuclear did manage to bag 2 points in that pass before ending the jam, but still didn't manage to achieve the full 4 because he wanted to protect the lead that Bristol have.
So we've got our next jam ready to begin. On the jammer line for Bristol, we have got number 8, that is Gobsmack.
And that is number 97, Hyperlink for North Wales. And we've got the lesser seen jammer recycle. So like with the blockers, that you have to come on behind them. If your opposing jammer knocks you off, you have to come on behind them as well. But they're not confined by they're not restricted by the confines of the pack.
Exactly. If a blocker recycles you, stretches out the pack at the back, they can only go about 10 feet. Now with a jammer, they're not limited to that, so they can take you back as far as you can. But both jammers now back on track and both engaged with the walls. Gobsmack's just been taken to the inside, so she's going to recycle herself to the back of the pack to re-enter legally.
Some really nice two-wall work there on display from Firefly and Divine Wrath. Ultimately, they did stretch out of play, so they had to release the jammer, and he did manage to pick up lead.
Some amazing blocking work happening in the pack there by number 100, Insane Bolt. She's doing amazing work. Hyperlink gets taken to the inside, but recycles to the back of the pack.
Okay, so an important thing we can tell you about now, Gobsmack has just picked up a cutting penalty as a jammer, so she's going to serve 30 seconds in the penalty box, which means that we've got what we call a power jam in favour of Hyperlink. Although we've now got what I like to call a switcheroo.
Yeah.
Hyperlink has also picked up a penalty, so he's going to take a seat in the box. He's been issued 2 penalties. So his initial penalty was a back block, so it's illegal to try and make contact with somebody in the centre of their back because they can't prepare for that. And the second penalty he was issued was because of the amount of time it took him to leave the track. We call that a misconduct penalty. So the idea is to leave the track as quick as possible when it is safe to do so.
Now, this has also meant that the jam has gone for its full 2 minutes duration. And it also means that in the following jam, we can see Abnorman lining up on the jammer line, and he's going to be in what we call a power start position, because he'll be the sole jammer on track, and they're going to look to get him out of the pack as soon as possible, get lead jammer, and get him scoring points as quickly as possible.
Yeah, to capitalise on that time with him being the sole jammer on track. Both teams with one blocker in the penalty box, so it's a 3-on-3 pack. Abnorman, that wonderful footwork that we talked about earlier, once again managing to keep him upright inbounds, even with that massive contact from number 19, Spike Killigan.
Abnorman comes through. A really great hit there, taking Abnorman out of the pack. Now, because number 3, who is Bankai, has dropped to his knees, he's not currently a inbounds blocker, so Abnorman was able to get onto track legally without getting called for a cut track.
Indeed. Again, some beautiful 2-wall work from those Welsh blockers, able to take Abnorman to the infield once again. Nez Bankai once again being a real pain in the backside to Abnorman, causing him all sorts of issues. And we've had a star pass. So Cordy mentioned earlier about the star stash, where a jammer can remove the helmet cover to try and make themselves a bit less conspicuous.
Yeah, camouflaged almost.
Jammers also have the option to pass their jammer status to their pivot. They're one of the blockers, and as you can see coming into turn 3, for example with Bristol in the white, they have a helmet cover with a stripe down the centre. So a jammer at any point, it could be that they're having trouble getting out of the pack, they're knackered, it could seem like the correct tactical decision. They can pass their ability to be a jammer to their pivot, and the pivot then becomes the active jammer.
I mean, it is definitely a really good tactic to use, especially if your jammer is tired. If they've been battered by the opposing blockers and they need that extra boost, that you can pass to the pivot, and the pivot takes on that role, gets out and gets points.
Absolutely. So we are in an official timeout at the moment. Official timeouts can be called for various different reasons. It may be that our skating or non-skating officials need to check some things. For example, the penalties, like we're seeing on the board at the moment. Each skater can accrue up to 7 penalties within a game. At the point they accrue 7, they have fouled out and they will be removed from the track and from play of game. Equally, an official timeout may be called for something as simple as track repair. The track that you can see marked out in the black and yellow hazard tape, the main track and the outer lines are underlaid with rope. It makes it a lot easier for the skaters to be able to differentiate where the edge of the track is, and thus be more aware of whether they're potentially going to incur a cutting penalty.
Very true. And obviously we are just 9 jams into this first half, and looking at the penalties, as you saw on your screen just, nobody really has got accrued too many penalties at the moment. It's looking quite an even, fair game. And the scores themselves, you know, at this critical juncture in the game in the first period, they're still quite low. If anything, it's quite an equally matched game. So great to see there.
Absolutely, and with these teams both being, that was some wonderful footwork from Luke Leoblast. However, it wasn't legal.
No.
It made it possible that he touched a toe stop to the infield, and a cutting penalty it can be just as close as that. So he went to the penalty box for that cutting penalty. He was followed very swiftly by his opposing blocker, Lily. So when both jammers are in the penalty box, they're the only penalties that work like this. They work in pairs, and it's so that we don't have extended periods of time without jammers on track scoring points. So Luke Leoblast sat down, Lily sat down a couple of seconds after, so Luke Leo will only serve that amount of time. Lily will serve the same amount of time.
It's great because it helps improve the flow of the game, keeping the game functioning going forward. And it's got to be said, I mean, something that we take for granted almost, having watched so much roller derby over the years, is the amount of skill that it actually takes to not only be able to skate, but also to take constant hits.
Yes.
And also to be able to run up onto your toe stops, and able to get like a bit of inertia going to plow through the inside line, plow through the outside line, and get through the front of the pack. It's some really good stuff.
Absolutely. The amount of additional training that a lot of skaters choose to do, endurance training, HIIT, CrossFit, a lot of weight training as well prevalent within the roller derby community to really help to enhance that core and just to build the strength. And it all adds into gameplay. So Lily has picked up an additional penalty. He's taken a seat back in the box. So we're now into a power jam for Bristol as we move towards the end of this jam.
Hyperlink the jammer for Bristol recycled to the back of the pack, and that game came to its that jam came to its natural conclusion.
So with the natural conclusion coming, it means that we're going to have another power jam start in favour of Bristol. And they're stretching out their lead a little bit. So Wales on 28 points, Bristol now on 40. So it's edging out just a little bit.
Indeed. Abnorman is going to be taking the power jam for Bristol. We've got a full complement of blockers on track. So some really good hits there being put onto Abnormal to keep him within the confines of the pack.
Abnormal pushing incredibly hard against that 3 wall from North Wales. One of his skaters, number 337 Elderly, going in for some really nice offense. And you mentioned earlier about skaters having switched from defense to offense quite rapidly, and which they have. Lily is back out of the penalty box onto the track. So the blockers that were preparing to offer more offense for Abnorman should he need it have had to switch their brains straight away to be able to defend against the opposing jammer.
Abnorman having to be recycled all the way at the back there behind number 96, which is Mushy Wookie. Mushy Wookie doing a really good job as a blocker because he's just making sure he's got constant contact with Abnorman on his back.
We had ourselves a star pass as well, Quaddy, to J-Rex for North Wales. Abnorman, great track awareness, saw that the star pass had been made and that J-Rex was nearly up on a scoring pass. And even though he'd taken a hit and he ended up calling the jam from his knees, he managed to prevent any points going on the board from North Wales.
You've almost got to have like a sixth sense as a jammer, you know, you've got to almost have like a rear view mirror to be able to see what's going on all the way around the track so you can make the right decision.
I feel like owls would make good jammers. that kind of rotating motion. Incredibly quick lead jammer status being awarded to Earthworm Jim. First time we've seen him on track for a little while, and he's obviously appreciated the rest and he's got fresh legs.
Meanwhile, Godsmack doing a fantastic job. Now emerging out at the front of the pack. Number 47 goes in to try and recapture, but unfortunately not quick enough.
Yeah, Liam needs some giving chase. Earthworm Jim, 1 foot on the outside line, takes a big shoulder check from Gray, but manages to keep himself where he should be and keeps his wits about him enough to call off the jam.
So we're now into Jam 12, only just over 13 minutes left in this first half. Current scores as they stand: North Wales Roller Derby on 37, Bristol Roller Derby on 45 points.
Folks, we've had a lot of games this weekend. We were at this all day yesterday, and we've been on the go since around 9 AM this morning. You're joining us today for the final 3 games. This Tier 3 MRDA final. Next up will be the Tier 3 WFTDA final, the WFTDA being the Women's Flat Track Derby Association. And then right at the end of the day, to finish us off, we will have the Tier 2 WFTDA final, and that is going to be a rematch for the ages between Rebellion Roller Derby from Bedford and Norfolk Roller Derby's Norfolk Broads. They've played many, many times, and I am excited for that game.
No, I can't wait. If anything, I know many British Roller Derby Championship finals have sort of come down through the ages, seeing those 2 teams competing. So that's going to be a really good game to watch. Anyway, back to the action on track. We've got Abnorman for Bristol Roller Derby. Just emerging out the front of the pack, picking up lead jammer. Bristol doing a fantastic job, really putting the squeeze on the on the North Wales jammer.
Yeah, Hyperlink really having to push against that wall. His team trying to go in and offer some offense, but he's still stuck there behind those blockers.
Yeah, we've got skater number 4, Divine Roth, really doing some great blocking there onto Hyperlink. Meanwhile, Abnorman making hay while the sun shines, finds an open channel on the inside line, picking up another 5 points.
And we've had ourselves another star pass. You can tell that from the way the pivot is racing out of the pack. Star helmet cover in hand. Abnorman ends the jam before he even gets a sniff of the pack.
Fantastic work. Okay, so lining up ready for this next jam. Both teams actually starting with a blocker in the box, so even though they've got diminished blocking power, they're both equal in that. So we're going to see what this shakes out as.
So as we're in this official timeout at the moment, you can see our skating and non-skating officials interacting. We've got people who track penalties, we've got people who track the scores, and the gentleman walking back to the penalty box at the moment, because that's what we've got seated along the edge of the track. He's what we refer to as our penalty box manager, Cupid Snunt from Nottingham Roller Derby. He's actually my fiance. So we met through roller derby. It was a wonderful thing, and he's done this role many times. He's a seasoned official, as are all of our officials that we've got here this weekend. We've mentioned about some of our skaters being of an international standard. Our officials as well. This sport is much bigger in America than it is here, and the higher level games are played primarily, it's starting to spread over, but they're played primarily in America, and a lot of our officials here have been to some of the top events in America and in Canada as well.
Indeed. So back to the action on track. We have got number 8, Gobsmack, just picking up lead jammer for Bristol Roller Derby.
And that's number 14, Earthquake Jim, once again up for North Wales. He is not lead, but he is trying to chase down.
Gobsmack though, quick on the hands onto the hips, calling off the jam.
So we can see that North Wales were in a pack deficit there, with 2 of their blockers sat in the penalty box. The great thing as an opposition jammer about blockers being in the penalty box, you only have to pass 1 blocker on track to pick up those other 2 points.
That's correct.
So by managing to pass one of North Wales blockers on track, Gobsmack was actually awarded with a 3-point pass, as she had 2 blockers who weren't active at the time. Nuclear Blast taking a big hit coming out of turn 1, but he almost kind of worked with the kinetic energy and propelled him forward.
No, definitely, that was a really good action there. And we've also got J-Rex currently jamming for North Wales Roller Derby. Nuclear Blast looking in the rearview mirror, see J-Rex on the approach and pulls off the jam. Okay, so first up, jamming for the North Wales Roller Derby for the first time in this game so far, we've got Bankai, number 3, going up against Abnorman.
Interesting tactics. Bankai, as we've seen, has been an incredible blocker so far today. It's going to be interesting to see how that skill translates to the art of jamming, because while it is all one game, it's definitely different skill sets required for those different roles.
Oh wow, major pile up there at the back of the track. Abnorman back on, but did so illegally, picking up a cut track. So that gives Bankai not only lead jammer, but a power jam in order to make as many points as possible. Fantastic work. Now let's see what he chooses to do. If anything, I can imagine not only jamming, but also having the ability to block can also combine the two, making you a blammer.
And Bankai, although he appears quite slight to you folks at home watching this, I've spoken to Bankai quite a lot. I've announced him a few times. He's quite stocky. He's really quite built. And the blocking, he's been blocking for a few years now, so he's got that force and that power behind him.
Gotcha.
And we've seen that he's quite agile as well, and they're absolutely translatable skills to jamming.
Okay, so we're readying up for our next jam. We've got just over 7 minutes left in this first half.
And we've got Gobsmack for Bristol and Earthsquirm Gem once again for North Wales. Gobsmack picking up a cut penalty along the inside line. She was just clipped off past the jammer line and stepped back on track, not realising that she had gained advantage on her position. So she's in the box, and Jim is lead, and he's now just completed his first scoring pass. This is a great opportunity for Wales to try and close down that gap. Scores currently 47 to North Wales, 64 to Bristol.
Yeah, not a massive lead. If anything, Bristol have done really well so far to accrue that lead so far, but it looks like it could easily be rectified within quite a few jams. So.
Of course, I mean, we've already got 10 points on the board in this jam alone, which has closed that deficit down to a 12 points. Big takeoff on the outside by Gray means that Jim had to reset himself.
There we go. So Earthsquirm Jim calling off the jam there, and also trying to avoid a hit that would have been after the whistle, but he got out of the way in time.
So with just under 6 minutes, it is just an 11-point game. 56 North Wales, 67 Bristol. And I got to tell you, this is a close game.
Very much so.
For those of you who may be viewing roller derby for the first time, and you may be more familiar with scorelines, say from
football, where it's a single point.
Exactly. 11 points is absolutely nothing in roller derby.
And considering that the last time these two teams played, Bristol won by 210 points to North Wales 144 points, I'm really liking what we're seeing on track. It's some good action.
What's been quite nice, we've had a couple of rematches so far today alone of teams that played in the same division earlier this year that had bigger differentials when they faced off earlier in the year, and it's actually come down to incredibly close games. Game we had this morning between Nottingham Roller Girls and Hull's Angels Roller Derby when they faced off earlier in the year in their Tier 3 division. Nottingham won by around 90 points. Today, Hull took the win by 2. And I know you want to talk about that.
I do. I definitely want to talk about that. What we just saw there was Ab Norman jumped across the apex but didn't land fully in bounds, so got a cut track penalty. Is making his way to the penalty box, leaving North Wales Roller Derby with a power jam, and that is being taken by O2. That is bad twin.
I mean, it may not have been legal, but it looked really nice.
It did.
I'm a big fan of an apex jump.
0-2 strategically looking for open channels wherever he can find them.
Nice arm whip there from Bankai. Haven't seen one of those in a while.
There we go. Bad twin being taken to the outside. He recycles. Oh, almost causes himself a cut track there, but keeps out of bounds. Recycles safely to the back of the pack. Bankai going in to give some offense, looking to provide a friendly channel for his jammer. But what we've seen is a star pass.
Star pass to 766 J-Rex. Ab Norman still trying to complete this pass after exiting the penalty box. Meanwhile, J-Rex is having a really good time up front. He's managed to complete that scoring pass after receiving the star.
Bankai with a huge hit there onto Ab Norman.
Unfortunately,
it wasn't a legal hit, but it was a lot of fun. And has actually caused a cut track onto Ab Norman. So, was it worth it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's, while we would never condone penalties.
No.
Never condone penalties. Sometimes it is worth sacrificing yourself. However, we're going to have another jammer switch out, Quaddy. J-Rex just incurred a cutting penalty along with his first straightaway. So once again, we're going to be jammerless for a few seconds while they serve the same amount of time. However, it looks like as that jam came to its natural conclusion, Ab Norman was released from the penalty box, so it's going to start with a power jam in favour of Bristol. This game it's picking up some momentum. It's been a little bit of a slow burner. It's been quite low scoring, and it's the last couple of jams have really kind of thrown out some massive punches.
Indeed, yeah. If anything, both these teams really want that win of the Men's Roller Derby Association Tier 3. And you can really see that it's now beginning to ramp up a bit.
Okay, so we've had an official review called. We've not had one of those yet in the game. We'll explain this to you now. So each team has one official review per half.
Yeah.
And it's their opportunity to query something. So it may be that they feel a penalty should or should not have been issued. It may be that they feel that some contact was particularly excessive, or what we would refer to as egregious, and they feel that a certain skater should be removed from the game. It may be they're querying points, so they felt that there should have been 3 points awarded on the last pass instead of 2. There's various different things that can be raised in an official review. Basically, the teams, in this case it's been Bristol, which have raised the official review. So they will go into the middle. It will be the alternate, who's usually your bench coach, and your team captain. They'll go into the middle. They will explain to the skating officials what it is that they would like to review. The skating officials will ask if any of the head referee will ask if any of the skating officials have any questions about it. So it may be, if for example, Abnorman said, I would like to query a lack of a cutting penalty called on North Wales Jammer. The referees may say, whereabouts on the track did this happen? Which scoring pass was this?
Exactly.
So they're fully informed. Then, as you can see, we've got sort of our skating officials on the right-hand side of the screen, and they will have a discussion, because obviously with 7 pairs of eyes, it may be from different angles. It may be that actually what I saw, I saw that was definitely a cut. But from the angle that you saw, it was like, well, actually, it wasn't a cut, as the skater that they passed had been out of bounds.
Indeed, yeah.
That's why we have the inside and the outside referees to cover everything.
Yes.
So it's if the referees feel that actually the point that you've raised is valid and they uphold it in your favour, and for example they would issue a penalty to the opposing jammer for the cut that you believe should have been issued, you will retain your official review, which means that you get to basically keepsies, and you would get to use it again during that half. If they felt that no, not correct, we stand by our original decision, you will lose your official review, and it will basically be replenished in the second half.
Now, my personal favourite reason for having an official review as a player, not only as an announcer of roller derby, is for when your team needs a bit of a break. If anything, if your players are all tired and you need to sort of re-motivate them and get them reinvigorated, ready for the next jam, call an official review, have a minute of time in order to just put yourselves back together again and get on in the game. So, yeah, currently we've got the scores as they stand. North Wales Roller Derby on 64 points, Bristol Roller Derby on 75 points.
And just to let you know, so that official review began with Bristol calling an official review, and then on the back of that, North Wales then they used their official review. So we've had back-to-back official reviews, and you know what? Until the game previous to this, which was the Tier 2 WFTDA 3rd, 4th place game, obviously not something that you folks got to see at home, but was between London Roller Girls Battersea Power and Royal Windsor Roller Derby Who Dares Windsor. Until then, I had never witnessed that as an announcer, but it happened in that game.
That's amazing.
So
we've
had
back-to-back
official reviews.
2 games with back-to-back official reviews. Yeah, I mean, look at the time that we got left in this half. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it, so you may as well call it.
Absolutely.
And like I say, I mean, ironically me bringing it up, but it could be used tactically in order to give your players a chance to just catch their breath, get ready for the next jam in play.
Indeed. If we are able to get the information across to you regarding the official reviews, right now we will do. It may be that we're not able to access the information until half-time, which we're very close to, at which point we'll update you as we come back from the half.
Indeed. So we've got a soul jammer on the track. That is Gobsmack for Bristol roller derby on a power jam. Only 2 sets of hips to get past. Obviously, we see Bankai there, been doing some really effective blocking, but Gobsmack gets round, picks up lead jammer for Bristol roller derby.
Okay, so I do have a bit of information about Bristol's official review. They were querying the cut track penalty that was issued to Ab Norman towards the end of the jam, and it was determined that the cut track penalty did not stand, so that penalty has been rescinded, removed from the penalty tracking, and so the North Wales jammer has had to sit for a full 30-second penalty.
Wow. So they were right to make that call,
absolutely,
to get that official review,
absolutely,
and it's really worked in their favour. So we saw there that you'd got J-Rex 766 jamming there for North Wales roller derby, and that jam has come to a conclusion. We've got just over 1 minute left in this first half. I'm looking at the penalty board, which will be up on a screen at half-time. I can see that there's quite a lot of penalties going the way of North Wales roller derby, so they're going to want to calm that down in order to get through the next 30 minutes. Because if you've got expulsions, it just puts a lot more pressure on the existing skaters.
Yeah. So we've got straight into this jam, a raring start. Nuclear Blast racing down the inside line, managed to find space, picked up lead jammer incredibly quickly, and he's now facing a little bit of resistance. Oh, wonderful, wonderful hit there from that blocker.
Right at the front of the pack there, causing a cut track.
Fantastic work.
Yep, power jam to North Wales roller derby.
So 20 points separate the teams now. So this... We've got so close a couple of times with North Wales. A nice smooth pass through the pack for Jim. Blockers returning to the track for Bristol from the penalty box. Jim with that shoulder drop round the outside.
If anything, that manoeuvre, it's referred to by jammers as a bean dip. So
tasty.
Removing
so tasty.
all of the target zone from the other blockers to just pass around. Oh, big hit there placed onto Earthsworm Jim. It takes a tumble, but back up on his skates.
That was insane Bolt with that hit. Phenomenal blocking. She's had a brilliant weekend.
Fantastic.
Nuclear Blast back on track, looking for that inside line once again. Denied by the North Wales defence.
Now, this is really good work by North Wales. If anything, their blockers are kind of working autonomously individually, and usually the most together blockers have more success as a unit. So this is really good individual play that was seen by them.
Absolutely, and you've hit the nail on the head, Quaddy. Generally, find a buddy, stick together. That's the best way to play this. But they're kind of they're disproving a theory. Scientists everywhere are going mad.
Okay,
that's half time.
Yeah.
Wow, 30 minutes of roller derby has raced by our eyes. We really hope that you're enjoying this, folks. We've got our half-time score sitting North Wales roller derby 79 points and Bristol roller derby 95. We're going to have a brief intermission, around about 15 minutes. We will come back to you with 2 minutes to spare, and we can give you the updates on those official reviews and maybe some other little bits of information.
Wonderful, folks. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in 14 minutes. Thank you. And welcome back, everybody, to the second half of the British Roller Derby Championships Men's Roller Derby Association Tier 3 final game. Currently, we've got 2 teams playing. We've got Bristol Roller Derby, who are in the white, and we've got the North Wales Roller Derby in the green. We had a very, very exciting first half. About 15 minutes in, both teams really ramping up in regards to the play, and it's also resulted in quite a fair few penalties actually building up.
Yeah, the penalties have definitely spread out as the game's progressed. And one of my favourite games, when I sometimes do some officiating, is trying to spell words from the penalties. And Firefly has provided us with EDAM.
Oh, very nice.
So all of the letters correspond to particular penalty codes. X refers to cutting, B refers to back block, F refers to forearms, and that M is multiplayer block. Most of them are quite straightforward. So that to kind of give you a bit of an insight of a little bit of what we're seeing on the board. Only person in real trouble is McLeod.
Yeah, I mean, what you should really be focusing on is the fact that currently McLeod is sitting on 5 penalties. You get 7 penalties, and that's it. Then you've fouled out of the game. And like we say, if you're active in the game, you're taking the pressure off your skaters. If you fouled out, then you've really got to make up the numbers, and that can really start to tire people out and really affect the game. And
it's almost sort of a vicious cycle, isn't it? So the more tired you get, the more likely you are to make mistakes, and the more likely you are to pick up more penalties. Indeed. And the more people that will foul out, and it starts again.
Indeed, it can be a bit of a vicious circle. So, right, we have got our 2 jammers on track for Bristol Roller Derby. We've got skater number 57, that is Nuclear Blast. And for North Wales Roller Derby, we have got Bad Twin. That is skater number 02.
Very tight pack to get us started into this second half.
Very much so. Bad Twin with only 2 sets of hips to get around. Nuclear Blast with only 1 set of hips to get around, but that was a really good hit there onto Nuclear Blast. Now, Nuclear Blast is through on the inside but did not pick up lead. If anything, Bad Twin did and chose to call off the jam very quickly to avoid any points being picked up by Nuclear Blast as he came round the track.
A little bit of tactical action.
Yeah.
So no points scored in that first jam of the second half. And remember, we've said it's the final. These teams are both desperate for that first place. Not only will they get some nice medals and a nice certificate, something to pop up on the fridge, there's also the possibility of promotion to Tier 2.
So, straight back into the action in this next jam. North Wales Roller Derby picking up lead jammer straight from the get-go. Oh, big hit there, taking him to the outside. That is J-Rex, I believe.
I think you might be right. Gobsmack being recycled along the outside, and just again, just a little bit, nowhere near as big a take back.
J-Rex really fighting out now, able to push those blockers more than 10 feet in front. So out of play was called by the officials, releasing J-Rex. And so come around again, gets knocked to the inside, recycles behind those 2 blockers. He's really fighting it out there.
Devastating hit by Firefly. That's 1986. It didn't look like a lot, but you could see from the way J-Rex kind of shuddered off track that it was a real sort of, I don't want to say the word chest punch because I don't mean that he was punched in the chest.
No.
But there was that shoulder that was kind of,
almost sort of took his core off balance. I know what you mean. Yeah. And I mean, if anything, this is safe play by North Wales. If anything, they're currently sitting in a really good position. 89 points plays against Bristol's 95. They're wanting to claw it back. What we call nickel and diming, just picking up point after point after point. And we've got 27 minutes left of this final half, so let's see how it plays out.
So 12 points picked up in total by North Wales in that second jam, brings us to 91 North Wales, 95 Bristol's. So this is the closest we've had this game since about 5 minutes into the first half.
Now that is true. And we've got an empty penalty box, we've got all blockers on track, we've got Abnorman for Bristol. Whoa! A bit of a slip there, it feels, from Abnorman, but he's back up on his skates.
Bankai picking up a penalty, though.
We'll get clarification for what that penalty was for, but that was Bankai to the penalty box, giving Abnorman not only lead jamming now, but also a power jam. So Bankai picking up a low block penalty. So whilst he was down on the ground, affected another player, and so that meant that he got the low block. Oh, wow.
I suspect that low block, where we saw Abnorman take a tumble, I suspect that may have been that contact. So in terms of, we mentioned that obviously you can't block somebody in the centre of their back. In terms of legal blocking zones overall, anywhere between the shoulder and the knee is legal. On the front of your body, anywhere. Shoulder to knee, it's all good. Anywhere below that, so if you take contact to the calf, ankle, foot, that would be termed as a low block, and I believe that's what we saw happen there with Bankai.
And as we say, I mean, this is a full contact sport. We do have emergency medical officials,
Yep.
on site in case of injuries, because unfortunately it is common. It is something that can happen. But it is so thrilling to play. It is such a fun game to watch, to play, to take part in. So we do encourage all of you, if you're interested, you can find your local roller derby team and get involved.
Absolutely. Roller derby is one of the fastest growing sports here in the UK. Over 100 leagues in the country. So I guarantee there is going to be something near you. Pop onto Facebook, do a Google search. Of course, other search engines are available. Have a look. Local roller derby near me. I guarantee that you will find something, and whether you want to strap on a pair of skates and play and be your own hero, or you want to be an official, a volunteer. We've got loads of volunteers this weekend who have helped with track maintenance, personing the stalls, making sure that the skaters are where they need to be at the right time, stuff like that, because this is all sort of by the people, for the people. It's all volunteer based. We all give our time freely for this. Nobody gets paid for this.
No.
We do it for the love, essentially.
It's a massive community, and it's one where you make friendships for life, it feels.
Yeah.
So, a lot of action happened in that last jam there. We've got North Wales Roller Derby on 94 points, Bristol Roller Derby on 105 points. So they've managed to, what we call, break the century mark, get over 100 points. And, well, even I can do the maths on this one. This is 11 points. This is an 11-point game.
There's numerous times so far during this game that we've been sat at that differential. It almost seems like they can't quite break past it. We've hit 20 points difference a couple of times, but then Bristol pull themselves back. North Wales, pull themselves back in.
I mean, Gobsmack doing an amazing job there, having to sort of pretty much pick off the North Wales blockers one by one. Gets out, picks up lead jammer for Bristol.
J-Rex did also put on some wonderful footwork around the outside of turn 2. You would have seen it just in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. I'm going to stop because that was glorious.
That was amazing. If anything, Gobsmack there, managing to avoid a down skater, and with a really lovely pivot, turned around, sort of skated backwards, and called off the jam at the same time. Multitasking done right.
Tick.
Okay, so I can see we've got our next set of jammers ready on the jammer line. We've got Abnorman once again for Bristol. And if I'm right, that is skater number 3, Bankai. Had great success in the first half as a blocker, but is also killing it as a jammer in this second half.
Yeah, he's taken names.
Really sort of riding the edge there of skater number 2.
Managed to, again, jump that down skater.
2 sets of hips, the pass for Bankai, takes a hit there, but it was a bat block, so he can safely get back on track, avoiding a cut track penalty, and has picked up lead jam. A no pass, no penalty for a down skater. So is not lead, but is through on a scoring pass. Abnorman has only got 1 set of hips to fight, and would then pick up lead jammer, I believe.
And there it is. So we mentioned earlier about you managed to pick up lead when you pass everybody upright and inbounds. We don't mean just you as the jammer. We mean the opposing blockers as well. They all have to be upright and inbounds and in play. So that one skater was down and off track. So while Bankai passed them, it wasn't a, quote, legal pass.
Some amazing work there by Elderly. It wasn't legal, but it managed to really halt Bankai. Bankai now back up on his skates going around. Meanwhile, Abnorman getting around the hips of 2 skaters on the inside line there, and is through as well. That jam, I believe that came to its natural conclusion.
I think you may be right.
Yeah, 2 minutes per jam. We have just got 21 minutes, 28 seconds left in this final half. Points still really close. If anything, 98 points to North Wales Roller Derby, 117 points to Bristol Roller Derby. Amazing stuff. So, okay, Bristol starting with 1 blocker in the box, so they're at a slight disadvantage there. We have got Nuclear Blast for Bristol. going up against Bad Twin for North Wales Roller Derby.
Wonderful takeoff by McLeod on the inside, followed up by a massive hit by, I do believe that was Tom Thump.
Yeah.
Fun fact for you folks, Tom Thump and Bad Twin are identical twins.
Yeah.
I have officiated both of them before, and it took me a little while to realise that they weren't the same skater.
No, I often get them confused, and they think it's very funny when I do so. Unfortunately, I can see there that BVG picked up a clockwise block, so you're not allowed to actively hit in the clockwise direction, so he's going back to the penalty box. We've also had the North Wales jammer go to the penalty box. That was a Bad Twin, and so Bristol currently on a power jam.
Looking to extend out that lead. It was a cut penalty assessed to Bad Twin. As we said, cutting penalties can be picked up by anyone. They're equal opportunities, but they are most frequently picked up by jammers.
Okay, Nuclear Blast getting an easy channel through there on the inside line. Some really good offense put in there by the Bristol blockers. And the same being put there for Bad Twin.
Out of the penalty box, straight down the inside line. I don't think those blockers were quite prepared for him to come back on track. There was no defence formed, and his players knew that they didn't even need to provide the offence.
Tom Thumb doing some amazing one-on-one blocking there onto Nuclear Blast, sorry.
McLeod taking Nuclear Blast one-on-one. And that jam coming to its natural end.
Bad Twin being held up there and just took a bit of a bad tumble there. Again, I mean, the camaraderie between these two teams is fantastic, and this is a final they both want to win. There's everything to play for. There's only 30 points difference, and as you've seen how the points progress, that really isn't a massive turnover. So some fantastic stuff that we're seeing here today. Absolutely,
the sportspersonship is just wonderful. We have had a team timeout called by North Wales, and just to kind of explain to you a little bit, in case anybody is a bit puzzled, we have explained to you that it is the Men's Roller Derby Association Tier 3 final within the British Championships. Within the Men's Roller Derby Association, there is a gender policy in place, which essentially is, I'm not quoting this verbatim, but it is people of any gender, regardless of how they identify, male, female, trans, non-binary, other gender fluid, anybody who wishes to play under the MRDA rule set is welcome to do so. Which is why you've seen with Bristol Roller Derby, they have a number of female identifying skaters. A lot of teams do. I know the team that, the league that we're from, Quaddy, we both hail from Nottingham Roller Derby. Our Nottingham Roller Girls A team have been playing on our other track, and Quaddy here skates for the MRDA team within that league, the Super Smash Rollers, and we have female identifying skaters playing under the MRDA rule set. I like it. I think it makes things a bit more interesting.
I'm a massive fan of it. Just if you want to play, you play.
Yeah.
And that's the way it really should be. So
as skates will play.
Back to the action on track, we have got Gobsmack jamming for Bristol Roller Derby, going up against J-Rex for North Wales Roller Derby. Some really good work there by Blackthorn, trying to draw a cut track. Oh, which I thought she was successful then for a second. No, that's
Beautiful.
Somebody else getting caught there. Okay, so J-Rex still in the thick of the pack there, really trying to sort of force a way down the inside. Now being taken all the way to the outside, calls off the jam. He's looking a bit tired, J-Rex
has been quite a high rotation. He's jammed quite a lot so far today, and they've been physical jams.
Very much so. I mean, they've been given everything that they've got, really forming some great solid shapes, and in order to keep those jammers locked down. And it's when the jammers are going really, really fast, you think they'd be burning a lot of energy, but being skaters, they're able to conserve it through the through the form of it, through the motion of it.
Yeah.
Whereas when they're actually getting stuck behind a wall of blockers, that's where you really have to dig in, really grit in, and that's where you spend a lot more of your energy. So
like right now, we've got both Abnorman and Bankai really having to push hard against their walls, but some beautiful offense from BVG, literally decimating the Bristol defence, made heaps of space for Bankai to get through and pick up lead jammer from North Wales.
And also giving a cheeky little knock to one of the Bristol players. That's number 4, Divine Wrath.
I didn't see the contact, but I did just see Abnorman laying centre track. Took a big hit.
Massive hit there onto Bankai. Bankai making his way to the penalty box. So this leaves Abnorman with a power jam, and they're going to want to, again, sort of stretch out that lead as much as possible, because North Wales are really nipping at their toes, trying to keep that score as close as possible.
And of course, North Wales will be looking to try and shut down this power jam, make it as ineffective as possible. They've got that 30 seconds to try and kill the time, and they're doing incredibly well. This we would term it as you want to try and do a power jam kill, and the fact that they've managed to take Abnorman off to the outfield, I believe that's the 3rd time he's been taken off and reset back. And do you know what? He's not completed a scoring pass. Bankai's back on track.
Fantastic work there by the North Wales defence. Insane Bolt for Bristol Roller Derby doing some amazing work there, taking Bankai, recycling to the back of the pack, and now Bankai really having to work hard, stuck on the back of Divine Wrath, tries to find some sunlight on the inside line to get through, and that jam comes to its natural conclusion, I believe.
Bankai was our lead jammer, and obviously he incurred that penalty, so he lost the lead jammer status.
Yeah.
No longer able to call the jam, so it ran for its full conclusion of 2 minutes.
So, I mean, this is amazing. If anything, I'm just looking at the clock now, and that time has really sped by. We've just got 15 minutes and 12 seconds left in this final half of this championship game. If anything, the winner of this game is going to get some lovely medalware, possibly a certificate if they've been fantastic, and also a potential for promotion to the next tier. That'd be tier 2. 115 for North Wales Roller Derby plays against 150 for Bristol Roller Derby.
And that's Nuclear Blast around the outside, picking up lead jammer. We do have a star pass. Tom Thump now in possession of the star for North Wales. Tom Thump going for the inside line, a little bit of an apex jump, shut down definitively by Elderly.
Fantastic work there. Elderly really great at using his hips in order to sort of take you off your axis, or if anything, sort of move your weight around and really put you down if need be.
Bristol really stretching out that lead now. Nuclear Blast taking a tumble, calling off the jam as he did a forward roll.
If anything, that I've always been impressed when somebody can, in mid-air, with no concern for their own safety of falling, can call off the jam. If anything, that is spectacular.
Priorities. Folks, don't forget, we've got 2 more fantastic games for you this afternoon. The next game is the Tier 3 Women's Final. That will see some fantastic action. I'm going to find an update for you. Quaddy, tell us about what's going on with this jam.
Right, so back into the action. A lot going on, actually. We have got Gobsmack being recycled to the back of the pack. Meanwhile, we have got J-Rex. Oh, J-Rex taking a hard tumble there on the outside. And almost kind of looked like he took a player with him. Yeah, I do believe he's been called on a penalty and he's made his way to the penalty box. That is going to leave Gobsmack with a power jam. Some really good work there, if anything. Firefly going in as Gobsmack's offense, trying to make a safe channel for their jammer. Gobsmack looking to put her hips around some fantastic work here and some great one-on-one blocking, giving the room for Gobsmack to get out and get those points.
And I mean, ultimately, that's all that jammers want. They want that space to work. There's you give a jammer an inch, and they'll pick up a couple of points. You give a jammer a mile, and they'll rack it all up.
Indeed, absolutely. So J-Rex back on track now. Big hit there by J-Rex.
Interaction, yowza. I cannot remember the last time I used the word yowza in regular conversation. Sorry about that, folks.
No, I think it was neat. So yeah, if anything, taking Gobsmack right off her skates, calling the jam, and here we go, folks. We have, again, we need to be keeping an eye on the time. We have got 11 minutes, 49 seconds left on the clock. 125 points in North Wales Roller Derby, playing against 163 points for Bristol Roller Derby. Now, it looks like we are going to be seeing the first of our foul-outs for North Wales Roller Derby, as McLeod has finally picked up his 7th penalty. And looking down the list, there's a few others that are sitting on 4 penalties. So, in order to make it through the rest of the game, they're really going to have to sort of keep it clean, keep together, keep focused.
Yes.
Because this game is still not out of the realms of being,
No, it's we've not seen the true impact that a power jam can have on a game.
Yes.
We've seen some brilliant, as we've termed it before, power jam kills. But if there is the potential with a power jam to rack up sometimes 20, 30, maybe even 40 points, if you can nail down that offense for your jammer, the possibilities are almost endless. And the differential that we've got at the moment, that's a power jam and a half. It's not impossible.
No.
Bristol are definitely in the better position.
Yeah.
There's no denying that. But North Wales are not down and out. They're not absolutely written out of this game yet. It's still... I'm not going to say it's still anyone's game, but if they can get back focus and really kind of dig their heels in, there is a possibility that they could pull this back around.
Indeed. So we've got Abnorman jamming for Bristol Roller Derby. Currently looking to go against 2 blockers there at the front of the pack. Skips around with a beautiful little pivot and gets through. A late penalty called against 65, which is freaking gnarly, for a low block penalty. So that means that Bristol Roller Derby will be starting this next jam with a power jam, and that is going to be taken by Nuclear Blast. This is, we talked about the focus. This is not what North Wales would have wanted.
Yeah.
But let's see if they can really shut down that Nuclear Blast. Able to get through on that inside line, picking up lead jammer. Coming round now for points.
What Bristol are doing really well right now, you can see BVG there trying to link up with J-Rex and trying to sort of indicate to the rest of his blockers this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to reform this solid wall, either a 4 wall or sort of 2 sets of 2. That's what they were looking for. And the Bristol blockers, they didn't try and form a wall themselves. They literally just stood in the way.
Yeah.
They prevented that wall from forming. And that made things so much easier. I don't mean this negatively, but it was really lazy offense.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't need to engage. They literally just needed to be in the way.
It's almost like by having your presence there, you're taking the focus off of where that jammer is. And like I say, it is a multitasking game. You need to know where the jammer is at all times. You need to know where your nearest friendly player is so that you can form up and make a good structure to, make it better for blocking. But yeah, if anything, they are playing a smart game without expending too much energy, and it's working wonders for them. So we've got less than 10 minutes left in this final half. Current score as they stand, North Wales Roller Derby with 125 points. Bristol really eking out that lead now, 178 points.
53-point differential. It's definitely stretching. Things are slipping from the potential grasp of North Wales. Bristol really kind of taking control here. We're not playing. We mean business. We want these medals. We want this promotion. Both of these teams absolutely have paid their dues. Would fit quite well, I think, in a Tier 2 division. I think they'd stand an incredible chance throughout the season. And Bristol have obviously gone, we want this so bad.
Definitely. They're doing amazing work. And also, I mean, I'm just going to say, I'm actually really impressed. You did that without a calculator. I don't think I could do that without a calculator.
I mean, I learnt my I refer to it as announcer maths, from the one and only Roller Polar Bear. He is our fantastic producer on this game, providing us some little hints and tips, little tidbits, catching things that we might not have seen. And yeah, it's you might have caught him earlier this year on the BBC stream for the Women's Roller Derby World Cup. He was giving you sort of Roller Derby 101, really breaking it down and explaining it for you. And he's been our tournament head announcer this weekend, wrangling us scallywags and making sure that we're incredibly well taken care of. So
that we say the words good. Yeah. So we're back to the action on track. We have got Gobsmack jamming for Bristol Roller Derby, just currently being recycled to the back of the pack. Meanwhile, we have got Tom Thumb with the jammer cover for North Wales Roller Derby, again sort of being moved around the track, but with a lovely little apex hop on the inside line there, getting through. Not currently lead, but coming round for a scoring pass. Let's see what Gobsmack does. One set of hips to get around. She gets her hips around, checks her bench to see if her coach wants her to call it off, tells her to call it off, and calls off the jam. But was it too late? Did Tom Thumb pick up points?
He did.
Fantastic work.
4 points to Bristol, 2 to North Wales in that jam. And just a reminder, folks, I did mention it, we've got 2 fantastic games left for you today. The next game is the Tier 3 Women's Final, and that will see Cambridge taking on Hull's Angels Roller Derby, aka Hard. Interesting stuff. Hard coming into this weekend, played against Newcastle yesterday morning on Flat Track Stats, which is a service that we use. It's run by people within the community, tracking stats of games. It was predicted that Hard had a 13% chance of winning yesterday. They beat Newcastle by 8 points, I believe. Went through, beat Nottingham Roller Girls this morning by 2 points, and so they're playing for the gold.
Meanwhile, on track, we've got some amazing action happening. We've had Bankai with a huge hit onto Abnorman, but it was a clockwise block, so been taken off track there. Abnorman picked up lead with a fantastic charge down the inside line.
And he is on a power jam. Bad Twin incurring a cutting penalty coming round to turn 4. So Abnorman looking to add more points to the board. However, he has been knocked off on the outside of that first straightaway. He has been reset back past the jammer line, but he's managed to make quick work getting back through the pack.
Abnorman coming around again, sizes up Bankai, nimbly gets around his hips. Meanwhile, skater number 96, Mushy Wookie, providing a really solid block there and sort of kind of offering up onto the hips of skater number 97, a hyperlink. Abnorman really pushing, digging in deep at the front of the pack there.
Really interesting defensive technique on display from North Wales in the last couple of seconds. So obviously you were saying sort of Mushiwaki was holding Abnorman, almost then passed him off to Hyperlink, who then passed him off to Bankai, who then passed him off to the pivot number 65.
Frickin' gnarly.
But in the time it took for Abnorman to get to frickin' gnarly, the rest of the blockers had reformed.
Yeah.
So they were once again a 4-wall holding Abnorman.
In the game, we call that waterfalling. If anything, your sort of players reforming right at the front there to take their place. So it's like an endless cycle of just getting battered by blockers.
And from what I've heard as a jammer, it is soul destroying.
You think you're free, then you're not. No.
Haven't I already passed you?
Okay, so we are ready for this next jam to begin, which is going to see Nuclear Blast for Bristol Roller Derby. Going up against, I believe that is J-Rex?
Yeah, J-Rex running around the outside line, up on his toe stops, really good control. And he is your lead jammer.
Fantastic work there. J-Rex, 3 sets of hips to get around. Really charges it right on the actual outside line. Keeps safe in bounds and calls off the jam after
Absolutely.
a full pass.
I do apologise. It's a little bit self-editing. That was Lily, not J-Rex. 106.
Absolutely fine.
You could see the straight line on his back, and you could
Yeah.
see the 6 on the other side. And J-Rex, of course, obviously 766.
Apologies there, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a bird's eye view of the track, but we are still far away, where you kind of got to squint a little bit.
We've got a lovely screen as provided by our streamers, though. And we're back to the action. A very quick intermission between the jams. Gobsmack and Tom Thump, 2 jammers we've seen facing off quite a lot so far in this game. And that's Gobsmack is your lead jammer, and she's raced away from the pack.
Meanwhile, both sets of blockers really sort of like edging in order to provide a safe channel for their blocker. A really good hit there takes Gobsmack to the outside. She's currently been reset as far back as behind the hips of Bankai and calls off the jam.
That whole interaction from Bankai, from taking off Gobsmack on turn 3 and managing to, up on his toe stops, backwards, weave his way through the pack without incurring any stop block penalties, so none of those direction of gameplays we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And still with blockers trying to stop him. Absolutely astounding.
Oh, yeah.
Just the skill on display from some of these players, just like that.
Now, Abnorman really doesn't need much room in order to storm through. But if you give him a friendly channel, he's going to take it.
Oh, yeah.
And he's very, very nimble and very, very quick.
I mean, as a jammer, yes, you know that you're working for what you're earning, but as you say, friendly channel. If you see that there's a line open, there is no point in giving yourself more work.
Oh, indeed. Yeah.
Like, go for the open line. Don't say, oh no, I'm going to try and work my way through the pack. It's all about reserving energy and trying to keep on top of things.
Bad Twin gets taken to the outside. Some great offense there. Takes the Bristol blocker out. That is number 50, that's Gray, allowing Bad Twin to get back on track as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Abnorman definitely gets around the hips of Bankai and is through on another scoring pass. Some great work at the back there by Blackthorn, taking Bad Twin to the outside. Really stretching out that pack as far as the 10 feet will allow.
Now, Bristol have had a couple of quite high-scoring jams in the last sort of 5 minutes, and that's made a drastic difference to the scoreline. That jam in itself, a 21-point jam. North Wales, 136. Bristol Roller Derby now on 225.
I mean, currently reflecting on this game in regards to the game that they played earlier in the season in order to get here, Bristol Roller Derby taking the win at 210 points against North Wales 144. So currently it is playing out like that game, but from what we've seen, it has been a really close game all the way up until this point. It is probably just to the detriment of penalties that is allowing Bristol the upper hand in this game.
Absolutely. And I mean, if we look at it kind of splitting the game up, essentially the first 3 quarters of the game were pretty tight. We rarely got out of that 11-point differential. And something happened as we moved from the second quarter to the third quarter, or the third quarter to the fourth quarter. So from the start of second half to where we are now, and Bristol have they've dug their claws in, and they've taken it back to the nest.
Okay, so I'll point you up into the corner where you can see the clock. We've currently got 30 seconds left of the game, but we've got 1 minute 6 seconds left of the jam. So we're going to see how this plays out. As soon as the clock on the left goes down to 0, that means there's no more time left in the game, but we still have time left in the jam.
Yeah. So Nuclear Blast is on a power jam at the moment, looking for the apex on the inside of turn 3. A forearms penalty being assessed to Tom Thump. He is standing in the penalty box now, so he's not got long to go. As you say, 30 seconds for a penalty. At 10 seconds remaining, the player would stand, and Nuclear Blast in control of that jam, as the lead jammer has opted to call the jam off there and then. We will wait for the official final scores, but I think we can see how this is played out, Coddy.
Definitely. If anything, the last 10 minutes of that game, or I mean even the last 7 minutes of that game has been very, very important, obviously by the efforts from Bristol Roller Derby. But again, it is an unofficial score until there we go, we've just got the confirmation, and that final whistle via our wonderful referee crew means that we now have the final score. That is North Wales Roller Derby on 138 today, but your winners are Bristol Roller Derby with 239 points.
A really, really great differential, and a well-deserved win, and first place being awarded to Bristol Roller Derby. Folks, we do hope you've enjoyed this. It's been an absolute honour to be able to speak about Roller Derby for you all here via BBC iPlayer and BBC Sport. Thank you very much. Quaddy, thank you.
No, thank you very much, Snoogans. And again, there are 2 more games that you're going to be able to see today, so please keep it locked here for more roller derby action. And also, like I say, if you like what you've seen here and you want to get involved, then please search for your nearest local roller derby team. There are games happening pretty much every weekend up and down the country, so you can be here and actually see the action yourself. Like I say, roller derby is a community sport. There's something for everybody to get involved with. So, yep, thank you very much for watching. We can see we've got one of the teams in one of the next games lined up. What is happening currently is the spectators and the teams are lining up, ready to give a congratulatory high five to the 2 teams just playing.
A victory lap, if you will.
Yeah. All right then, folks. So, thank you very much for watching. I've been Robert Quadriguez.
I've been Snoogans. Stick around to see Cambridge take on Hull's Angels Roller Derby. It is going to be fantastic. Thank you very much.